Recently, we have seen a resurgence in bomba films sa Pilipinas, no? Lalo at nagtitake siya ng form sa streaming services at sa iba-iba pang places online. No? With me today are my colleagues to discuss ano nga ba ang implications nito sa views natin on women and and the representation na dinadala niya. I'm Jet.
I'm Yula.
And I'm Cassie.
Okay, so siguro maganda na masimulan natin yung discussion natin with the contextualizing, no?
Yeah.
Kung ano nga ba, bakit may ganito. No? So, as I have mentioned earlier, maraming mga films na lumalabas nowadays that are very reminiscent of bomba films.
Yeah.
No? Ito yung categorization natin bilang mga Pilipino to erotic or almost soft porn movies na that was very popular during several times in our recent history, no? Na parang we have its resurgence, we have its initial exposure noong panahon pa ng martial law, and then yung sumunod niyang nung panahon ng early 2000s.
Yeah.
Tapos ngayon na nag-take siya ng form sa streaming, no? Parang mas madami actually yung mga nangyayari. So, bukod sa pag-create ng napakaraming bold films, no, or bomba films, nandito rin yung creation ng or resurgence again ng napakaraming mga class of actors na bold stars talaga, no, which are primarily actors who who do films in this genre. So what we want to discuss today, no, ay yun nga, ano ba yung magiging effect niya or ano ba yung nagiging epekto niya sa atin, sa perception natin, sa mga bagay-bagay at sa overall media landscape ng Pilipinas.
If it's okay, I would just like to add on pertaining to the status of actors and actresses. Because if we look into the portrayals of men, they are considered to be viril. The idea of virility, the idea of masculinity and strength. And if we want to track their progress, usually from bold movies, some of them had become matinee idols and then action stars later on. But if you try to look into women, the actresses that has been portrayed or part of the business of bomba films, we rarely see them later on the same level of a matinee idol. There are just a couple of actresses that we can say broke through from the idea of a sexy, bold bomba star to that of a respected woman dramatic actress.
Which speaks to the stigma there is to women who perform in these films and even on sex work in general. No? Although I'm very interested in trying to understand how the resurgence of such films can contribute to a possible resurgence of more sexist, misogynist perceptions of men towards women. Because what are the themes usually in these bomba films or these types of soft porn movies? Kung titingnan natin, there is a tendency to portray women as, in some films, weak. They need a help of a man. They are to be dominated.
And they're always young.
Yes.
Or youngish. That's the portrayal.
Yes.
So, yung effect na nagagawa niya sa actual society natin, I think maganda rin na at this point ma-introduce natin yung concept ng hyperreality na when it comes to media, no? Kasi traditionally, di ba, ang media ay or ang art, we try to represent reality. Pero sa konsepto ng hyperreality, parang nababaligtad, di ba? Na parang kung ano yung pinoportray in media, nagke-create siya ng isang reality na yun na yung parang ganun na yung mga values na kukuhanin ng audience as to how we view people.
Personally, I see art as something that is another form of expression of one's idea of what is supposedly beautiful for another person and what is supposedly the political inclination of a person. May that be in painting, multimedia arts, and then particularly here in film. But from the resurgence again of these films, we can say that what we can get from them is the same power play that we get from a misogynist male gaze, a power fantasy that is supposedly non-existing in art, but the power structures in real everyday life permeates even the imaginary and the power mechanism and the power fiction factory that is that of film as art. So I think that's one of the critical issues that I want to point out as well, given that streaming right now is, can I say affordable? Is it a little bit affordable? It's available, phones, tablets, and a lot of us in the Filipino population now has access to phones.
Yes.
So it's readily acceptable. And although I don't support censorship, there's rarely any regulation pertaining to what might be considered as harmful to its viewers, because there's again no regulation if the viewer is our children, our teenagers, or older people of the demographic.
I think the issue there, the very complex issue there, ay matagal na in the sense na there were already questions before kung ano nga ba dapat yung tinatanggap, what is accepted, especially in the acceptable themes in creating Filipino erotic films. Kasi by looking at that past and looking at how it changed, if there is any change in those values and how they see acceptability of those themes, there is a tendency for us to look at films as the reflection of what is real, and hence we expect that this is how it's supposed to happen, how sex is supposed to happen, this is how a woman is supposed to act, a man is supposed to act. And so it creates a lot of sometimes misinformed expectations on sexuality, on gender, and even on roles and attitudes, no, na dapat tinitake ng babae at lalaki. And even that, no, yung normalization of heterogeneous relationships in this films, it speaks, no, sa kung ano ba yung tinuturing nating acceptable din sa hindi. So, interested lang ako, no, kung paano kaya natin i-navigate yung discussion na to so that we see how the film creates misconceptions about sexuality and about what's acceptable or not when it comes to sex.
And maybe I think we can identify these misconceptions as I mentioned earlier. If you look into the characters in the film, usually we find young women as the main character. Is that the right word? And usually I'm not sure. The counterpart is an older man. So we usually see that trend in recent Bomba films. So that's one misrepresentation, I think. The other one is the how open the accessibility to the image of what a woman's body is. Which, given that here in the Philippines we don't have a proper sex education and the discussion of what is supposedly a healthy approach to sex and an understanding of reproductive health and access to reproductive health care. This is also written by Srinivasan. She also says that because there might be communities wherein the access is solely limited to popular culture and not on guided platforms of what is supposedly sex education, then what the younger generations view as good sex might not necessarily be good sex at all.
Siguro isang kailangan nating idagdag din dito is yung contextualization niya within, nabanggit na natin ano ba yung power structures na meron na yung lack of sex education, etc. Pero yung notable periods kung saan merong rise talaga ng mga bomba na film sa Pilipinas, halos lahat sila ay merong kakabit na authoritarian or at least image of a strong leader, president na meron sa Pilipinas. Like for example, yung simula or yung kasikatan talaga ng bomba films was still during the Marcos years but post-martial law.
Yeah.
Still during the Marcos administration.
Mhm.
And then we also have yung kamay na bakal leadership ni Erap Estrada
Yeah.
in the early 2000s.
And even if it only lasted for 2 years,
Yeah.
diba? But
Mm.
the proliferation of bomba films was also a lot during his time.
And then now, yung resurgence nga niya on streaming was something that can be mapped onto the rise of this Duterte macho rhetoric din. Na parang meron kasing merong image at meron yung male power fantasy na finu-fulfill itong creation ng ganitong films, and what it does for women ay parang yun nga, i-stereotype sila to either women who have no other purpose but sex,
Yeah.
no, or a person finding their purpose. And again, spoiler alert, that purpose is still sex, no? So parang nagkakaroon siya ng nagki-create siya ng ganong expectation as to what should and what can be done in the context of a relationship, no?
So there is a dehumanizing aspect in
Yeah.
these films such that women are seen more as objects or commodities, no? Parang sex as a conquest. And especially looking at how the dynamics in these films go, no? Makikita natin na it's more about men's experience of dominating
Yes.
their power over women rather than the experience of sex on part of the women. So mahalaga siguro makita rin bakit ganon, no? At up to what extent natin dapat din i-allow yung these sorts of media to portray women in such ways. Kasi there are a lot of films, erotic films, that see the lack of consent as something normal, and isa siyang signal, kumbaga, sa lalaki na dapat lalo mo siyang i-pursue, na ipipilit mo, na later on, rape itself can become pleasurable. So there is a rise of this rape kink in erotic films, which is very worrying kasi it teaches its viewers na the lack of consent is not an excuse. The male is to dominate, the male is to get what he wants, which is sex with that woman
Yeah.
who he sees as the object of his desire.
Yeah.
And by having a lot of viewers, especially young viewers who see this, what does that teach them? What do they learn from that? Na, of course, we have these perverted notions of consent, no? Ayun nga, misinformation on sex. So it affects even body image. So it's just surprising na sa dami-dami ng mga films focusing on sex, sa dami-dami ng porn,
Yeah.
no? Still, there is little understanding about what sex constitutes and yung sexuality in general, women and men's bodies.
Yeah.
Diba? So, nakikita rin natin how sex education becomes more important and crucial in trying to navigate this socio-political condition na merong ganito na mga films.
The other thing that I would also like to point out is that there is really little exploration on what and how the woman's pleasure is represented in erotic films. Because again, we are coming from the criticism that a lot of these films, not just coming from the political framework of authoritarian regimes, but since it is coming from the point of view of the male gaze, then in a way, the woman is silent even if the woman's body is present in the film. So we are not saying that we are against erotic films. What we are saying is that we are limited by how we see eroticism because the films themselves are marketable to men and they are designed, created by men. So what I actually wanted to see are the rise of female writers, female directors, exploring the different forms of eroticism and women's pleasure here in the Philippines.
Ako, while we're on the topic of that, and especially nung nabanggit natin yung objectification and commodification, no, and yung how it's marketed, I think hindi lang within the film, pati how the film itself is marketed no, or
Okay.
how the streaming service itself is
Yeah.
marketed. No, it's usually marketed based on that context. It's sex sells. Oh, alam natin sa advertising, sex sells. Pero laging yun kasi yung pina-front uh, dun sa advertisements about, for example, a streaming service that
Their
focuses.
trailers, no?
Yes, no,
Snippets, yeah.
the trailers, it has to show the sex scene.
Yes.
It's marketed on the popularity of the female lead, no. So, meron ng objectification within the world of the film itself wherein the character is treated as such, and even outside of that, on an institutional level, talagang yung marketing niya nagfo-focus dun sa in this film you will see the naked body of
Yeah.
this female celebrity.
And
So,
just to add, it's not only the online streaming, but that is the popular media that we're having now. But prior to this online streaming media, we also had a lot of magazines. We
Yes.
were, I think, exposed to a lot of magazines. I'm not sure if they're still in print.
Circulation.
In circulation. But they always say that it was the woman's choice to be part of the spreadsheet of the magazine, or the cover of the magazine. And not just only that, we might also want to remember the calendar girls.
Yeah.
As a woman, there's in a way, there's always a marker if the expression is if the audience is a woman. So there's a difference. There's a difference when, and women would feels this as well if the audience is a man. So maybe we also might want to look into other forms of media, since we are now talking about online streaming. Not just now, but we might also want to review the other forms of media that has happened in the past 10, 20, 30 years, and how the online streaming now might be just another form of what they were advocating then.
So, in this case, hindi na lang tayo kulong dun sa no, dun sa films mismo, but the overall landscape nga
Yeah, I
of
think
the
so.
Yeah.
of media. So we also want to discuss here yung proliferation of hindi lang legal streaming sites, but
Yeah.
pornography sites
Yes.
din talaga, no? So isa sa mga naging issue on porn sites nung mga nakaraan is that it became, or it has become, an avenue for uploading videos of people without their consent,
Yes.
no, na isang
Oh, yeah.
problematic aspect of
Revenge.
that.
Revenge porn.
And then in that case, the site profits off of that. Nag-gain siya ng advertisement based on that. Pero hindi siya on one level, andun yung issue ng hindi proper na compensation dun sa subjects, and on a deeper level, it's that they didn't even consent to be there in the first place, no? So parang nagiging multi-layered siya at nagdadagdag ng problema yung ganitong klase ng portrayal about women, especially when it comes to women's sexuality.
Yeah.
So it calls into question whether we have to have some kind of control over these types of media, and especially with the type of content or videos that they accept to be published through their websites. No? Kasi although ibang usapin at malalim na usapin din yung sa censorship,
Yes.
pero of course, as with any other topic, there has to have some limits in order to protect those freedoms that we
Yes.
so want to achieve and what do you call this? Na ma-feel, na
Yeah.
magamit, no, ma-enjoy. So, in trying to arrive at a clearer and more grounded understanding of how these erotic films influence moral valuation, behaviors, and actions, I think necessary tingnan din yung ating pagka-Pilipino at ang ating socio-political landscape and how it affects all the other layers, all the other aspects that further exacerbate itong existing problem. Kasi hindi naman siya a problem in isolation, but there are other factors that affect and even worsen the experience of oppression. No? So, katulad niyan, when we try to ask questions about the male gaze and censorship, paano natin, saan tayo magsisimula? Paano natin naayusin? Especially now, if you look online, there is a huge misunderstanding pa lang dun sa konsepto ng male gaze. So, isa rin yan sa mga hurdles on our criticism of film in relation to that.
And it's actually interesting to look into what might be the situation 5 or 10 years from now. Will it also evolve into a different form of media, or will we see a different approach towards these films? And of course, I think it's also important to highlight how we talk about sex, how we talk about bodies, so that it's not only limited to these streaming giants or these to limited sectors in society, in which we feel that they are the ones that are knowledgeable, supposedly knowledgeable to these ideas, but they're apparently just a smoke screen to what might be just another form of domination on misinformation and on the repository of information as well. And I just would like to go back to the idea of how it's important to instill, or at least to foster a positive approach to sex. And I think we can do this if we really find a space for sex education in our education.
I think yung necessity for proper sex education, it's to dispel what you said earlier, no? Yung mga misinformation nga na nakukuha natin, and particularly misrepresentations. Kasi isa sa mga commonly misrepresented at actively nagiging harmful na representation ay usually among lesbian relationships, no? Ng relationships between women. Kasi even if we are to say that it is an example, a portrayal of a queer relationship, pero still, if it's produced under the male gaze, nandun parang din siya sa pag-fetishize ng women. So parang yung pagtutok doon sa pagtutok sa ganong portrayal, nakadagdag siya dun sa misrepresentation and misinformation. Like for example, this one film in that streaming service na parang ang point is the plot is there's this female relationship, and then to solve their problems in the bedroom because of the length of their relationship, they need a man. They need to invite a man into their relationship para ma-solve yung problem na yun. So bukod sa pag-fetishize nga sa relationships, nandun din siya sa incomplete yung sexual imagery without the idea of the man. And then, on the side of the man, andun din siya na, power fantasy pa rin siya, na parang, oy, ang swerte mo kasi dalawa yung sexual partner mo. No? So, yun, actively nagiging harmful yung ganong representations, I think. Not just on these relationships, pero halimbawa, on polyamory in general.
And that's why importante itong ginagawa natin, that we're opening up a discussion on these erotic films and its philosophical and ethical aspects. Kasi if we're going to think about it, someone has to be accountable in the end, no? Dun sa mga values na pinopromote, and even the injustices that happen when someone uses sexual imagery as revenge dun sa kanilang ex-partner, no? So someone has to be accountable, but then looking at it from a bird's eye, kumbaga yung from a bigger perspective, we need an intersectional approach that recognizes the different sources of oppression within society that affects how we understand these and how these issues arise. Kasi, for example, we speak of the importance of sex education, yet we know that there is a real problem in having an appropriate and accurate way to do sex education in the Philippines. Why? So because of the different institutions that affect moral valuation, Filipino values, no? So that's just one aspect of it, no? When it comes to lesbian relationships and how the image of a man is crucial for the sexual imagery. It speaks of heteronormativity. No, it speaks of the marginalization still of LGBTQ in relationships. So, sanga-sanga yung mga problema at siguro matutulungan tayo ng filosofiya para tingnan kung sa paanong paraan sila nagkakabit-kabit o paano, saan sila nag-i-intersect.
Okay, so I think from this panel, we can see the significance of philosophy as a safe space for discussing issues such as sex, morality and values, and the different forms of media that might introduce or buffer certain exploitations that happen in these forms of expression. Again, thank you very much. I'm Cassie from the Philosophy Division.
Jet from the Philosophy Division.
And I'm also from the Philosophy Division, Eula Blanco.